Hardtack is made with only flour, water, and salt, just like flatbread. But why are they so different? The difference is, with hardtack, when you're making it, you try to remove all the moisture you can so it becomes light, portable, and you can store it for many years. Some say up to 100 years. That's why it was so popular in the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries with soldiers and sailors. If you're crossing the ocean for several months, you want something light and portable and that can last a long time. It has nutritional value. It has vitamin B, it has protein, carbohydrates, and more. You can get between 100 and 250 calories out of each hardtack biscuit, depending on the size and what kind of flour. But by removing all the moisture out of it, it becomes hard as a brick. So the soldiers in the Civil War, American Civil War, had to soak it, not just dip it, but soak it in coffee or beer or water or something so they don't break their teeth by chewing into it. They would cook it with stew or soup and even with bacon grease. Now, hardtack is still being made today by people like me, people who want to add it to their emergency food storage or their bug out bags, which is what this video is really all about. It's inexpensive. I made over 70 of them just a few months ago for under $5. It was just a 1 5-pound bag of flour. And it's very easy to make. Here's what you need to make hardtack. You need a mixing bowl and 2 cups of all-purpose flour for this recipe, some extra flour on the side, 1 cup of water, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, a rolling pin, a knife, something to poke holes in the hardtack dough, and a ruler, and a cookie sheet. For this recipe, add 1.5 teaspoons of salt to 2 cups of all-purpose flour and mix it in. Add about half of the water to start with. If it's still too dry, just add more water. If it's too sticky, add more flour. Overall, you don't want a sticky dough. Work the dough for several minutes until it comes together. Now, because it was too dry, she added more water. If you want to make a larger batch, use about 2 parts flour to 1 part water ratio. So for example, 4 cups of flour to 2 cups of water. Now it's a little too sticky, so she's adding more flour. Now that it's come together, it's time to add some flour to your working surface to help keep the dough from sticking. You want to prepare the dough for the roller by flattening it out just a little bit by hand without tearing it. The goal is to use the roller to flatten it down between 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. I prefer 1/4 inch because it dries out faster, it's easier to break, and it's easier to eat. This is where the similarities end, by the way, between hardtack and flatbread. For flatbread, you could take some of the dough, roll it out, and fry it up. See the link above on how to make flatbread. For hardtack, you need to remove as much moisture as possible. For this recipe, you want to get the dough spread out enough to be able to cut out a 9 by 9 inch square. We'll be using the leftover dough to make more hardtack in just a minute. Then measure out and cut 3 by 3 inch squares. This is where the ruler comes in handy. Next, use something to poke holes in the dough to help the moisture escape and to make perforations so it's easier to break in half. This is called docking. We're getting ready to put it in the oven, but first, we need to use the rest of our dough. But this time I'm going to be using a cookie cutter. Next, place it in a preheated oven at 225 degrees Fahrenheit for 4 hours. However, after 2 hours, you want to take it out and then flip over the hardtack. Now place it back in the oven for the final 2 hours. It's been 4 hours. I like to leave the hardtack in the oven after turning off the oven for an hour or two to let the hardtack slowly cool. This time it's only 45 minutes because I needed to move along in the video. Time to remove the hardtack and let it cool the rest of the way. The hardtack is 1/4 inch thick. Well, it's cooled off and ready to eat or store. Now, while I've eaten hardtack several times, my wife has never tried this and didn't want to for a long time until now. She's broke one in half so it would soak up the coffee easier, and she's been soaking it for several minutes.
Not bad. It's just not bad. It's good.
All right, success. Time to try it in some soup. We let it cook in the soup for about a minute before trying it. It wasn't enough time.
Might want to let it sit a little longer.
Okay. How's it taste?
Tastes okay. It's just a little hard. Have to be real easy for my teeth.
Finally, I briefly want to talk about how to handle your hardtack and how to store it when you're done making it. Now, for handling it, just be sure your hands are very clean through the whole process, but especially when you're done making it, getting ready to put it into storage or anytime you handle it. Your hands need to be clean and dry. Otherwise, you're going to introduce bacteria. Now, for storage, you want to store it right when it cools off. A lot of people say, well, I'm going to leave it out for days, make sure it's dry. Don't do that. You will be introducing bacteria and it will be absorbing moisture the whole time. You need to do it right after it's cooled off. You'll notice when in the video, I turned the oven off and left it in the oven. I let the oven and the hardtack cool at the same time for 2 hours usually. 45 minutes in the video because of time constraints, but still. And then for storage, we vacuum seal our hardtack. We put a couple oxygen absorbers in there. Probably don't need to, but we do anyway. If you want access to your hardtack, just use a mason jar. Oxygen absorbers in there and screw it on and nice and tight. It'll last for a long time. Need hardtack? Unscrew it, take it out, put it back on. Or a Mylar bag, just oxygen absorbers in there and then zip it and you should be good to go. Thank you for taking time to watch my video. I really appreciate that. Please hit like if you liked it, and if you think it was useful, maybe share it. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you again for watching, and y'all have a great day.